Tidal Trouble sees the Kongs back at the lake. The sun is starting to set as they make it to the north edge of the water. The waves are rougher here and there's a higher concentration of fish. I don't know what else to say. This is part 3 of Overthinking Donkey Kong Country 3. Leaving the mill of Doorstop Dash, the Kongs go past Wrinkly's save cave before diving into the lake itself. As much as I like the previous 2 games Overworlds, I love the freedom you get in DKC3. You can go straight on to the next level, or you can explore the lake, go visit Barnacle on his island, or head under the bridge to find Smuggler's Cove. Now might be as good a time as any to talk turkey, and by turkey I mean the overworld. I feel the various overworlds are one of DKC3's weaker parts, seeing as they're all quite samey, but I do love them for what they are. Lake Orangutanga is a great first world. The lake is the obvious centerpiece, but there's no shortage of interesting environmental details. From the pine trees on the south side to the autumn colors and the snowy mountains on the north. It's cool, it's fun, and while there isn't a chance in hell of seeing this area return in a future game, I would love to see it recreated with current tech. Barnacle is one of the cooler brothers. If you remember what we saw at Bazaar's general store, then you can see what we might need to do to get the banana birdies taken care of. Give me the bird! Give me the fucking bird, old man! That's something we'll talk about later though. For now, let's dive into Tidal Trouble. 2 things jump out at me from the get-go. The first is the palette. Not much different from Lakeside Limbo at first glance, but it's darker, warmer. The sun seems to be setting. The underwater plants are a rusty reddish color as opposed to vibrant green. Even the water is darker. Under the surface is a deep dark blue, while the reflections above have this pink to purple tint to them. Second is the water itself. Unlike Lakeside Limbo, or really any water level we've seen in the series so far, the tide is constantly pushing against you. It's far from insurmountable, but it does add a bit of challenge to the level. I personally think it's a great concept. Like the best concepts of DKC2, it's easy to learn, not so easy to master. Coin is the first enemy you encounter here, which is unique for DKC3. The barrel's on the roof above the starting point, so it's not that hard. There's an A made of bananas to tip new players off as to how to reach it. Cobble and Buzz return, both great enemies, and we're introduced to a slew of new ones, starting with Koco. Koco is a clownfish, and this game's bite-size equivalent. You meet the stationary green ones first, and the patrolling orange ones soon after. There's also Knocker, who is this game's clobber. Knocker's a bit easier to predict because the barrels they hide in are green. They might be a bit slower too. I like them for what they are. Enguarde makes his first appearance here, the only animal buddy to make it unchanged through all 3 DKC games. He could be used in the first bonus area, where we see our first Lurchin. For some reason, I kind of don't count enemies or tile sets until they've been introduced in the main game, so we won't be talking about this gross bitch just yet. Unfortunately, our time with Enguarde is short-lived, but any Enguarde is better than none, right? We meet Knick Knack after the halfway mark. To me, they seem like this game's version of Click Clack, and not just in the name. Some versions of them we'll see later can be picked up and thrown, just like Click Clack. Again, I like them for what they are, and I feel like they fit the aesthetic of this game pretty well, especially the riverside levels we'll see later. Knick Knack is often used as a stepping stone to reach higher areas, and that's how they're introduced to us here. They're needed to reach a platform that, using Kiddy Kong's surface skipping technique, is used to reach the next bonus area. It's crazy that after only 3 levels in the game, it expects you to use the hardest technique in the entire trilogy to reach a bonus barrel. Trial by fire once again, I guess. I suppose you can use Dixie to reach the platform, but the game seems to want you to reach it with Kitty. And that's pretty much all she wrote. It's the first appearance of the Bash the Baddies bonus level, and this was the first time I stumbled upon a warp barrel as a kid. I was pretty chuffed with myself for that. There isn't much we can glean from this level in terms of story or environmental detail. Calling this level Tidal Trouble feels like a bit of a misnomer, because while lakes can kind of sort of experience tidal action, they generally don't. That said, it's not really worth getting too fussed over, because there's definitely movement in lakes. It's just that it's usually due to other factors than ocean waves. The sun appears to be setting here, so it's entirely possible that the Kong's first day on this new adventure comes to an end after Tidal Trouble, because as we'll see in the next level, it's a brand new day. Part 3 done. Tidal Trouble's a nice level, don't really have much else to say about it. In the bigger picture of the first world, it does its job of drip feeding new mechanics, enemies, and ideas, while also keeping the momentum of the previous levels going. It's never gonna win any best level ever competitions, but it's a great little piece of a much larger puzzle. Part 4 coming real soon, so stay tuned.